This is WTF Nation Radio.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show. Radio, this is the third day number 3 of March, 2019.
We're getting into the month.
I think I love that.
Yeah, we're actually getting into the year, the third month of the year.
0303. Oh wait, where's my cam thing here? Since I got the cam thing working, might as well use it.
Yeah, show your face.
Hey. So guess what I did today?
What did you do today?
I got to go to the ballet.
Nice.
Like it's like a legit ballet, like professional ballet people doing professional ballet things. It was awesome, and I've never used it before. We've had them as guests on the show before, but I went through vettix.com. You sign up, you verify your veteran status.
Yeah.
And you get emails. You kind of get almost bombarded with emails once you set up a little profile saying that these are the things that I'm interested in, or this is how far I'm willing to travel from my area.
Yeah. So
I get notifications all the time, and sometimes the tickets that are available are AAA baseball games that I'm not interested in, or it's games that are like soccer games that are up in Frisco that it's only 30 or so miles away, but it takes you an hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes to get there.
Yeah.
So things that I'm not interested in. My daughter was a dancer for a very, very long time. Ever since she got out of diapers all the way up until she graduated high school, she danced. So there was I got an email saying at the Bass Performance Hall here in Fort Worth, Texas, there was the Texas Ballet Theater, or the Fort Worth Ballet Theater was performing. Nothing, it wasn't big. It was actually more of it was kind of an edgy ballet show, and it was just really nice. It was awesome, and Bass Performance Hall is fantastic. Lots of big names have performed there. It's in the middle, right in the middle of downtown Fort Worth. It's like a $65 million structure. It holds a couple thousand people.
Wow!
But it's really, Kenny G performed there right back when it was first built. He was one of the first guests to play. So he did his little intro song and everything, and he talked about all the money that was invested in the Bass Performance Hall, and he said that it looks fantastic, and it's really great. I mean, it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. He said that a lot of the money, you don't see how it was invested. He goes, it was invested in lighting, and it was invested in acoustics. He said the acoustics in this place are phenomenal. He took his microphone off of his sax that he plays, and he walked around the stage playing music. He told the orchestra to be quiet, and he walked around playing his saxophone on the stage, and the people all the way up on the top and in the back, everybody, there's not a bad seat in that house.
Nice.
And he was playing without a microphone, and everything just sounded beautiful. It's really a fantastic theater. So anyway, that's what I did today. I got to go to the ballet, and it was really awesome. We had really good seats. The thing about Vettix is you can't just say, oh, I'm gonna sit here. The tickets don't cost you any money. You have to pay a ticket fee, but that fee gets rolled back into Vettix.
Yeah.
So it's the same fee. It's like $14. So for two tickets to the ballet, it cost me $14. But if you,
that's not bad at all.
Oh, I know. And if you're gonna pay for those tickets, I think those tickets were going for $40 a pop.
Wow.
So So check them out. If you guys haven't checked it out, go to vettix.com. Fill out your profile, verify your military service, and give it a shot, man. So sometimes you find some really good tickets. Like around here, there's a lot of options here, just because we've got the Cowboy Stadium at American Airlines Center. You got Texas Rangers. You've got Dallas Stars. We got soccer games. We got concerts out the wazoo. So I'm in a really, really good area for, main, for big name entertainment coming through.
Yeah.
If you live in Lincoln, Nebraska, you might not be so fortunate as to have, big name shows or events come through. But check them out. The price is right. It doesn't cost you any money to sign up. You just have to verify your military service.
Well, that's not a bad deal. That really sounds kind of nice.
Yeah.
So you were at the ballet today.
I was at the ballet today.
Nice.
So we have I like to do this day in history. This one's not very fun, though. I don't like this one at all. But Los Angeles police officers severely beat motorist Rodney King on this day in 1991. The beating was famously captured on amateur video, and it later led to riots when the police officers got acquitted. I remember that.
Forget that, yeah.
So yeah, at first I got it confused with what the hell was it? O.J. Simpson and the slow speed chase.
Oh, okay.
And then I'm like, no, I wasn't at the Guadalupe River, because it was a 4-day weekend or something when O.J. Simpson was in his little slow speed chase in his Ford Bronco. So today's March 3rd, like I said about 4 times.
Yeah.
That means yesterday was March 2nd, and yesterday being March 2nd, that means that was Joe Cuba's birthday last week. We talked about Joe Cuba turning 100 years old, and Joe wanted nothing more than 100 birthday cards for his birthday. And I provided his address and looked at some news updates yesterday, and thanks in part to us here, or for you guys actually at the WTF Nation, Joe Cuba received more than 30,000, and this is yesterday's news. So yes. 30,000. He received over 30,000 birthday cards and gifts from well-wishers all around the world.
That is cool. I mean, it's nice to think, nice that people did that, and I know part of our audience has something to do with that.
My daughter was totally excited about it. She shared it with her classmates, and she's an ROTC at the college here. So yeah. She shared it and got a bunch of people to send Mr. Cuba a birthday card.
That's cool.
It was really cool. The news broadcast was really, really nice. He's a sweet old man.
From what I had read about it, yeah, and I mean that when you get that old, there's not a lot you really want anymore or need anymore. So just being acknowledged is kind of nice. Absolutely.
I mean, I don't think he has any living family or anything. He's got a lot of friends.
That's cool. Oh, hey, I just saw something pop up.
Uh-oh, what was that?
A survey.
A poll. Oh, I got a poll. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all my polls today, all my poll questions today have to do with currency.
Okay.
So the first question is, let me see, prior to the mid-1980s, American coins not imprinted with a D or an S mint mark were minted where? Your choices are Washington, D.C., Taiwan, China, or Philadelphia.
Interesting.
I like the trivia.
Yes, you like your trivia.
And I think it kind of drives my daughter a little bit crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'll sit there and it's just interesting to me. I'll read her a whole line of trivia questions, and she's like, Dad, I really don't care. And I'm like, I know you don't, but please act like you do.
Entertain your old man.
Right. And you know what's kind of funny about that is I'm finding out that I'm more and more like my father, because my dad kind of does the same thing to my mom, except he does it in reading. He will read to my mom.
Okay.
Like, he'll be reading the newspaper and he'll read an entire article and about something that my mom doesn't really care about. As far as my mom goes, if it's not Game of Thrones related, she likes Game of Thrones. If it's not decorating related, like HGTV type stuff,
yeah,
she doesn't really care.
Yeah.
But my dad is a he was an accountant and a controller for a long time. So anything finance related, my dad really gets into, and he's like, "Oh, here, Sandy, come here. This is and he'll read something that just makes no sense to anybody who's not in finance."
That's funny. Fun to get old and get set in our ways.
Absolutely. I don't have a problem with it.
And just so you know, I am looking at the rooms. Hello, Ross. Hello, everybody in the chat rooms. We aren't ignoring you.
No, I'm just talking a lot. Sorry. That's what kind of shows we do. We talk and stuff.
And stuff. We talk about stories.
Stories and stuff. This is the kicking it with Kaz. Unlike the other shows that we have here on WTF Nation Radio, Owl and I like to pay attention to, not fluff stories, but some of the better stories that don't stress you the hell out, and stories that don't make you want to stab your ears or eyeballs.
Stuff that is a lot more about what they're not talking about anymore. The good things in life, or at least things that aren't trying to tug on your emotions.
Correct.
So chime in, give us a hey. It's good to see everybody here tonight. I'm always happy to see everybody, and I know Kaz is too.
Oh yes, definitely. Definitely, man. Now,
yes,
I heard that Bin Laden, of course, he's got lots of kids.
Yes.
Bin Laden went on a fishing trip, and he didn't come back from that one.
Something.
Something tells me that his son's going to have the same type of fishing trip.
Uh-huh.
So his name is, what's his name? Hamza Bin Laden. The son of Osama Bin Laden is emerging, or has emerged, as a leader in Al-Qaeda, the U.S. State Department says, and it's willing to pay up to $1 million for information on his whereabouts. Hamza Bin Laden is emerging as a leader as the Al-Qaeda in the Al-Qaeda franchise. He has released audio and video messages on the internet calling on his followers to launch attacks against the United States and Western allies, and he has threatened attacks against the United States in revenge for the May 2011 killing of his father by U.S. military forces. State Department said that items seized from Osama bin Laden's hiding place in Pakistan at the time of his death indicated that he was grooming Hamza bin Laden to replace him as an Al-Qaeda leader. I remember seeing pictures of this kid. He must have been 5 or 6 years old back then. So he's probably 18, 19 years old right now.
Uh-huh. And he's built up a lot of hate.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, good to see you, Dustin. Go ahead. Someone gave us a shout-out.
Oh, what's up, Dustin? The younger bin Laden is married to, get this, the daughter of Mohammed Atta, the lead hijacker in the September 2001 attacks on the World Trade Center.
Huh.
As American officials hunt him down, they just want him for questioning, guys. Right? As American officials hunt him down, UN member states are required to freeze Hamza bin Laden's assets and comply with the travel ban and arms embargo. U.S. officials estimate that Hamza bin Laden is between the ages of 30 and 33.
Oh, wow.
I don't think so. He was super duper young in the pictures that I saw.
Unless you're thinking about one of his other kids. Got to remember, he had several wives.
Yeah, he screwed a lot of goats.
And so you're talking he's got a lot of the possibilities of having some of the older kids, because he was kind of old himself.
That is true. Osama was rather old. The pictures, and they might have been older pictures too.
Yeah,
there were no dates on the pictures that I saw, but he was really young. So Saudi Arabia also has revoked Hamza bin Laden's citizenship. That's pretty significant.
Yeah, considering they didn't revoke Osama's.
No, they didn't.
That's saying something. Jeez. You know you messed up when the people who didn't kick your father out kicked you out.
Right. I mean, it's not like he's done anything yet, but to have that intelligence that has him, assuming leadership positions and making statements.
Well, if he's assuming leadership position, that means he had to do something to get there. Because they're not just going to put him there because of his dad. They're going to put him there because he earned it.
Right. I mean, he could have been. I mean, I guess I take advantage of the fact that I'm in the United States of America. Where you're free to worship as you please. You're free to think as you please. You can say anything you want as long as you're not infringing on someone else's rights, or as long as you're not preventing someone else from doing that same thing. We just kind of get along.
And yeah, Cal, another young man just carrying on the old family tradition.
Family tradition. I was thinking of that, though. Was that the Hank Jr. song, Family Tradition?
Oh, what a world we live in.
So I'm thinking within the next 6 or 8 months, Hamza's going to be found, and something tells me he's going to be room temperature.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying necessarily by the United States. I don't know where he is. I'm guessing he's probably in Pakistan, maybe Syria.
My guess would be Syria right now. That's a place that he could probably get away with hiding. The rest of the places, not so easy. And after having their problems with what happened with catching Osama in Pakistan, I don't think Pakistan wants to deal with that anymore.
Well, right now you got Pakistan and India going at each other, so.
That's true. That's very true.
And maybe that's a distraction.
That is a possibility. And bringing in someone like him brings in the people that may help them going against India. You just never know.
Those guys have been going at each other for. I mean, it hasn't been like an active conflict between India and Pakistan, but it's just like the neighbors that don't like each other, and they're just looking for an excuse or a reason.
Well, yeah. I mean, the Middle East has always been a problem. Fighting amongst themselves, they've never gotten along with each other. And I mean, they what was it before we went to war? There, the saying was, if we go in the Middle East, it's not going to be an easy in and out.
No, and it's not one side against another. I mean, you come in as invaders and occupiers, and then all of a sudden your support is going to split.
Yeah.
Or people are going to be like, well, these are our Arabic brothers, so we're going to side with them regardless of whatever reason.
Exactly. And you just don't know. And we kind of knew that before we went in, but well, it is what it is. Well, I think I'm ready to talk about I don't know how your week has been, but I sure could use a pick-me-up. How about you?
I think you could. We have talked. And you do need a pick-me-up, man.
I do. There's a story here. It says, need a pick-me-up? Take a trip to a park. A study by researchers at the University of Alabama Brigham finds that spending 20 minutes in a park or green space makes the average person happier. Interesting.
Hell yeah.
It doesn't matter whether you are sitting on a bench just passing the time, or playing frisbee with a friend. The boost of happiness occurred whether an individual engaged in physical activity while at the park or not. Overall, they found park visitors reported an improvement in emotional well-being after the park visit. They found time spent in the park is related to improved emotional well-being. Researchers say that urban parks provide city residents opportunities to experience nature and engage in many types of activities, some involving exercise, some not. Between the contact with a natural environment, engaging in health-promoting or social and recreational activities, parks allow visitors to experience physical and mental health benefits like stress reduction or recovery from mental fatigue and burnout. Gee, so all that time we spent in training in the woods, we were actually getting
I see what you did there.
we were all getting our health and mental illness.
That was all supposed to make us feel better.
Mm-hmm. There we go.
We're supposed to recharge our batteries and lower our stress and
And you guys thought it was just training.
Boy, the sergeants really do care about us.
I know. You know, I'll agree with it. Me being who I am, and everybody knows I'm a shaman. I've announced it many, many times. I'll go with it because a lot of times, and this is something that I was just talking to the man Cause about, was I've been dealing with some issues this week with electronics, and electronics can make you very narrowed and buzzy and not really feeling like you're really aware of your world. It just kind of takes you away. I mean, there's a lot of studies that even back this up. If you sit there and play games or watch really intense TV shows before you go to bed, it's harder for you to go to sleep.
Well, it's kind of like it. If I do that, I don't watch. I mean, I do this purposefully. I don't watch a lot of TV. When I sit down for dinner with my daughter, we'll watch like one episode of what are we watching now? We're watching Sherlock, or there's also a show called Jericho. It's an older show.
I remember Jericho,
but it just seems it's just the kind of shows that we like. So we'll watch one, maybe two episodes of it, and then it's off. My TV hasn't been on all weekend. So it's really a rare thing to occupy myself with watching TV.
Well, and see, with me, I was, like I said, I told you I've been dealing with electronics this week, and that actually it gets to where it makes me buzzy. I can't calm down.
Like buzzy meaning on edge? Yes.
And that's not a good space for me. And what's worse is the smarter thing that I can do is, like, an hour before bed, I go downstairs and I watch something I watched before that I know makes me smile. That's what I try to do. Even if I go and watch other people stream, it's not me streaming as far as playing games, so I'm not stressed about trying to play the game.
You mentioned that last week, and I'm like, I don't get it. Yeah. And then I have been watching people game. Polo Stairs is one, Pi is another one, and there's a couple of others that I'll just swing by, say hi, watch them play a little bit.
Yeah, and it makes a difference. It's all part of. People don't realize, and when I was on Tuesday's show, I always push sleep, and there's a reason I push sleep. As physically disabled as I am, as many problems as I have, the one thing, as long as I sleep, and I really mean this, as long as I sleep, it doesn't matter. The next day, I can have enormous pain, but as long as I slept the night before, I'm okay. And yes, I see what you're putting out there, Cause. Nobody needs a buzzed owl.
Well, no one does.
You're right. Okay, I'm kind of high energy anyway, even though I may not seem like it. I actually am. And if truth be known, as a shaman, I'm what's known as a fire. I actually am a fire element person. I emanate fire very easily. I can start fire very easily. And I don't need any help. So electronics is something that I have to be careful with. But going into the park, going into my backyard during the summer, even in the winter sometimes, I'll go out and just take off my shoes and plant my feet in the snow. And
Earthing. I've heard that is a thing.
It is.
They call it earthing.
Get this, okay? I can give. This is the best example I can give of earthing.
I wouldn't do it in the snow though. That's stupid.
Well, when you're a fire person, it's not so bad. But I've actually. It used to be back. You remember seeing on TV the protests back in the 60s and early 70s with the protesters, all the college campuses and everything, right? And you remember seeing how police used to have to take 2 or 3 people just to drag one person who was sitting there?
That's true, yeah.
And there was a technique that they taught those protesters where they actually taught the protesters how to ground and put down what they call lines into the earth to ground, to where they would make themselves that much heavier, to where a little girl who maybe weighed 80, 90, 100 pounds felt like she weighed 200. And, well, hello, Michelle. Good to see you.
Michelle.
But that is how deep grounding could go. So just putting yourself in a place, a lot of people when they go out into the parks, they take a breath. They put their feet into the ground. Yeah, if you take off your shoes and just walk onto the grass, you'd be surprised. Travelers talk about, well, when you get off a plane, if you can go find a place and take off your shoes and walk, it actually helps take care of some of your jet lag. And it's true. It actually happens. And that's the whole idea, is grounding is actually helpful, and it does make you feel better.
It's hard to do that in Texas because you get eaten by fire ants. There are some downsides to earthing and grounding here in Texas.
You know, every place has their downsides, but you just have to figure it out. But no, I mean, it's really it's something that people do need to remember out there, that, and especially with spring coming. Remember, I've been talking for all winter long about the whole winter depression thing. Okay, and
let me sidetrack you for a second. My daughter asked me a funny question today. She's like, "Dad, when does spring happen in Texas?" And I'm like, "Well, anytime between now and the middle of March is when the temperature starts going up." I'm sorry. Now in the middle of April.
Yeah.
We might have a couple of days in the 70s, and then we're down into the 20s, and then we're back up in the 70s. Like last week, we had a couple of days that were in the mid 70s. Tomorrow morning is supposed to be like 22.
Okay.
But she's going. She's got a job in Montana for the summer, so she's going to go up there in May after her semester's over with, and she's going to stay up there till August. So when she gets up there in May, it's going to be maybe 40 degrees.
Yeah, that's right.
and that's probably about as bad as it really gets on a consistent basis here in Texas. In my part of Texas.
Yes. So she's going to have to deal with lower temperatures right off the get-go when she gets up there.
Right, and it'll be considered warming up and winter's over, because I mean they've gotten a lot of snow this year and it's been really, really cold.
Oh, I know, because I'm not too far from them.
That's true.
And I've been getting that snow and getting those temperatures, and I've been using the red lights at my gym for that reason.
I didn't mean to derail your winter depression point.
No, but you're right. That's the thing is, spring is coming, and we're going to start anticipating, and that anticipation can actually cause even more stress and depression. So be careful about that, guys. Don't forget, yes, it's coming, but don't get so wound up in it that you actually stress yourself out. And, if you have to, there is another way to ground. If you've got a basement in your house, or where there's some cement, believe it or not, taking your shoes off and just walking on cement will ground you out. Just a thought.
I walk around barefoot most of the time.
Where you live, it doesn't surprise me. Hey, your poll just popped up.
Well, the answer to the poll did. Philadelphia is the correct answer. So the question was, prior to the mid-1980s, American coins not imprinted with a D or an S mint mark were minted where? And their options were Washington, D.C., Taiwan, China, or Philadelphia. The correct answer was Philadelphia, and 75% of you, all that answered the question, were correct.
Very good. And yes, Ross, I know you went down to Florida for a little while. I'm jealous.
Florida's nice, man. It's just Stefan keeps talking. He planted corn already.
Oh, jeez. Nice. I don't know. The downside to Florida, the humidity and the gators, and the mosquitoes.
Big ass mosquitoes. Lots of them. Hurricanes.
Oh yes, the hurricanes.
Big ass snakes.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Nope. I'll deal with my winter.
I got a Florida man story.
Oh, here we go.
Well, it's a Florida couple story.
All right, we're ready for it.
Florida couple clearing out a house that they bought made an unexpected discovery. A suspected U.S. military Medal of Honor from the Civil War era. Aaron and Michael Cara said they bought an Orlando home with the intention of flipping it, and they set about clearing it, all the belongings from the previous owner who had died. The couple said they opened up a box and they found what they believed to be a Medal of Honor dating from Abraham Lincoln's presidency. That's like when you were a teenager. The couple said that they opened the box and found that they believe, the medal bears the name Mark Wood. And online records indicate that a man by that name was one of the first ever Medal of Honor recipients in the late 1860s.
Wow.
The couple said that they are considering donating the medal to a museum. Just the uniqueness of it. And, after researching, I saw that, and I think this is a quote from that guy. He says, "I think that there were only 3,500 ever awarded, and Abraham Lincoln would have to have been the one to give this one out. So it is kind of a big deal," said Aaron Cara.
Huh.
Now, if I were them,
yeah,
I would have that Medal of Honor verified.
Yes.
And have it possibly reconditioned. And then I would send it like on loan.
Yes.
To a museum. I wouldn't donate it per se.
Yeah, I mean, you always want to be able to see, in case something ever comes up, you always want to be able to move it to an appropriate place.
Correct. And plus, and plus, I think it's also they get paid for that also.
Oh, okay.
If you have an artifact, you can loan it to a museum, and they can give you a fee for that.
Huh. That wouldn't be too bad then.
But that's pretty damn awesome. Be one of the first Medal of Honors. That's still still floating around. I mean, looking at that picture.
Huh.
I mean, I
could see it to Corporal. Yeah, that's cool.
Corporal Mark Wood.
Yeah. I mean, it's really you look at stuff like that, and I mean, Medal of Honor. I remember the definition of what a Medal of Honor was given out for has changed over the years, but has always been the best, the best example of. In other words, the best of things that have happened, someone rising to the occasion type thing.
Yeah.
So that's actually that is cool. Hey, Josh, good to see you. And hello, Shauna. Good to see you, too.
They were filling up, but there's plenty of room for everybody.
Come on in. There's room. We always have room.
I don't know what I'd do. When I moved into this house, I tore everything down. I ripped the carpet out, ripped the baseboards out.
I still think you should have put up a camera when you started.
Yeah. But anyway, in the master bedroom, underneath the carpet was a safe.
Yeah, you told us about that.
So I'm like, oh my God, there's a safe here. I wonder if there's anything in it. So I contacted the safe company, and it was a Sentry safe, and I paid like $10 or $20, and they sent me the combination for that safe, and I opened it up, and my heart was beating. I'm like, oh, I wonder what's in it. And there wasn't anything in it.
Well, you got a safe.
No, it actually the bottom of it is corroded, so it's not. I guess it is usable. I mean, because there's nothing but concrete around it.
Yeah.
But the metal had rusted through.
Oh, okay.
And there was nothing in there. I was like, man, there's going to be diamonds, and there's going to be something cool, paperwork, a gun. I'm just thinking to myself.
Another Geraldo Rivera story.
Yeah, the same result. There was nothing in it.
Oh, that was funny. I remember him blowing that up so big.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Well, I got a story for us. Just one day after Peter Frampton announced he's embarking on tour, the legendary musician announced it will be his farewell tour because he's suffering from a rare degenerative muscular disease. The 28-year-old said...
28? He's 68.
I was going to say, yeah. Oops. The 68-year-old said he was first diagnosed with inclusion body myositis.
Myositis?
Myositis, there we go. IBM for short. Nearly 4 years ago after a fall on stage. Frampton first noticed his ankles were feeling tight in the morning, but dismissed it as so-called aches that come with getting old. I can relate. Then his legs began to feel weak. However, Frampton realized something was truly wrong when he fell over while trying to kick a beach ball back to a fan. 2 weeks later, he tripped over a guitar cord on stage and collapsed again. His arms were getting so weak that lifting heavy objects onto the overhead compartments of planes was becoming difficult. Embarrassed and frustrated, Frampton saw a neurologist and received the shot. I'm thinking of all the times in my life that I have something devastating that's happening to my career and in my family, or me, I'm brushed myself off, got myself up, and changed directions. Frampton said he knew the disease had progressed late last year while on vacation with his daughter in Maui. I fell on a boat, he recalled, and it was a pretty bad fall. It was the moment when the beloved guitarist realized it was time to leave the road. I'm able to play great right now, he explained. In a year's time, maybe not so good. I'm a perfectionist, and I do not want to go out there and feel like, oh, I can't, or this isn't good. That would be a nightmare for me. Frampton said the idea of struggling to play guitar on stage in front of his fans breaks his heart. It's my passion, he explained. I've been playing guitar for 60 years. I started when I was 8. Now I'm 68. So I've had a very good run.
Oh, he has had a good run. I did not realize how much I liked Peter Frampton When I looked at this story, I'm like, wow, I haven't listened to Peter Frampton in a long time. So I got onto YouTube, like everybody does, and I just pulled up some of Peter Frampton's older performances. He used to play guitar for David Bowie.
Yes.
And then he started his own thing, and fantastic guitar player. He's really, really, really good.
Yes.
And then I compared that to his newer performances, which are awesome. They're equally as awesome. His voice is outstanding. His guitar playing is outstanding. It's like watching a 20-year-old Peter Frampton again.
Wow.
And he's seeing the writing on the wall. The disease that he has doesn't have a cure and no real effective treatment. So no. I think he's making the right call.
Yeah, I mean, when you know that something is pulling you down, you have the choice of playing and having people pity you in his position in the position he's in, or saying, okay, I'm going to go out on a high note and enjoy what time I have left and see if I can find ways to help bring myself up rather than push myself to keep doing something that may cause me more harm.
That's true. And I think, he's right. He has had a good run. I think it would be really good. I'm not advising Peter Frampton on the rest of his life by any means, but just to have the run that he did. I mean, I think it would be good. It would be good if he took care of himself, kept himself in really good shape, and maybe do Rock and Roll Hall of Fame things or music award performances.
Oh, I think those things will come in. I think that that type of stuff will come in as he fully winds down from the tour. In other words, first he's got to get over with the tour, and then he's got to evaluate how he feels. And at that point, people are going to be saying, well, you're not doing tours now, but would you like to do this? And I'm pretty sure as famous as he is, those offers will come.
Definitely. Or, start a guitar school.
Yeah.
Or maybe even he's been playing the same style of Les Paul for his entire life. If you look at that old picture up there and then the new picture, it's a damn Les Paul.
Yeah.
So I mean he could make or maybe do an endorsement like the Peter Frampton edition of the Les Paul.
There's his options aren't closed just because he's shutting down his tours.
And he's a young man. I mean, 68's not
dirt.
It's not. Well, yes, it's older than I am, but I mean that's not the age you hang up your hat and say I'm done.
No, it is not. And I see a poll has just come up.
Another one? Damn, who the hell keeps putting these polls out there? I wonder. So in 1943, in order to save necessary metals for World War II production, pennies were made from zinc-coated blank. Your options are copper, silver, uranium, or steel.
Interesting.
I have a couple of these pennies.
And when we were talking about the Medal of Honor, Josh and Michelle both agree that the medal should be the family or those that were part of his legacy. The medal should find its way to them. Yeah,
it's funny. The guy's name is Mark Wood. I work with a guy named Mark Wood.
Oh, jeez.
It would be interesting to maybe do a little bit of a genealogy researching and see if he has any living family.
And that would be the question. I mean, if they got it from a guy, the person died in the home, you never know. It may have been his family members, and he may be the only one left. You just don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you got to start somewhere. I'd say, this chap that died in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why does he have it?
Exactly.
Yeah, it would be fun. It's like putting together a puzzle.
Yeah, it would definitely be, and I mean something like that would definitely be coveted by a family member.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
This is
Well, at least people like us, anyway.
it means something to me, just being a veteran myself. It would mean something to me, especially if I had, my daughter's going through a scholarship. She's filling out all kinds of scholarship paperwork and whatnot.
Yeah.
Some of them are offered for children of veterans. Mm-hmm. And she has to write about me, and I have to actually write, just what I did, what I'm doing now. It's just a basic paragraph or two of what I am. Well, her grandmother's brother was in Vietnam, and then her grandmother's grandfather was in World War I.
Wow.
Or something, because there's a good military lineage in the family.
Yeah.
My dad was in the Army. My uncle was in the Army, flew helicopters in Vietnam.
See, my dad was in the Marines, and my uncle was in the Army. So, yeah, it kind of does get passed down in a lot of ways, or at least the love of country does. At least a little bit.
And even Joe Cuba said that. He goes, yeah, I joined he joined the Army Air Corps when he was 19 or 20. He said, he wasn't drafted or anything. He just, that's what people did.
Yes.
He didn't have to be convinced to join the military. That's just what you do.
And we try hard to pass that along to our kids, to have that love of what their freedoms are. So I agree. Well, hello, Ari. It's good to see you.
Oh, Ari's here. Good.
Ari's here.
Okay, we can begin now.
The world can start again. We kid you, Ari, but it's good to see you. It's good to see everybody tonight. Everybody's always welcome. Come on in.
It's Sunday. I guess I guess officially it would be the beginning of the week. Sunday being the first day of the week. But it is the beginning of the week, but it's the end of the weekend. So it's an ending and it's a new beginning. And
Sunday's kind of the quiet day.
Today wasn't quiet. Yesterday wasn't quiet.
Not for you or me, I should say.
Yeah, I had. I didn't talk about this on the air. I was talking to you off the air before the show.
Yes.
Yeah, I had no idea, and had I had an idea of how expensive it is to change windows in your house, I would have asked for a little bit of relief from the previous owner of this house. Anyway, I had some contractors come over because I'm looking at replacing my windows.
Yes.
I have a small house. It's not a big ass house. It's a single story. There's 6 windows that need to be replaced.
That's all?
That's all. And the first quote I got was $20-something thousand.
6 windows. That ain't no, boy. They're taking you for a ride.
No. Well, their warranty is outstanding. Their windows are fantastic. It's like top of the line. You can't get any better.
Those things should come with shading inside and a fountain that squirts chocolate and.
No, it's important in Texas to have a very efficient window. In Texas, you can't buy aluminum windows anymore.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So these windows are carbon fiber. So they're really, really strong. They move with, like, if your foundation were to move, or if your house were to move, micro movements happen. It doesn't matter, every house.
Yeah.
But these are like the actual windows are independent of the frame, but there's no incursion of, water, or it just these windows are just badass. They had a UV lamp on the outside, and they just said, okay, this is how many BTUs this lamp is putting out. Then they put a piece of glass, a glass window. They said, okay, this is how much that window stops. And it was like maybe 20 or 30 BTUs. And they put a piece, like a pair. Like my windows in this house were built and installed in 1984 when the house was built. Then they put that lamp there. They said, this is what you have. And all it is just a window with with 2 pieces of glass and nothing in the middle. There's no argon, there's no nitrogen, there's no nothing. It's just two pieces of glass. and that cut down like maybe 150 BTU, and they went on down the line.
Yeah.
And then they had a piece of glass, and then that void in the middle had an actual piece of insulation in it, and that cut down a whole lot. And then they put these windows in there, the ones that they want me to buy, and they were it took it down from that lamp was putting out like 560 or 570 BTUs of heat out. When they put that window in front of the little meter there, it knocked it down to 7 BTU. And that means a lot in Texas because that sun is just brutal.
Oh, yes, I know. I've done training down in Texas.
Anyway, I kind of derailed the conversation.
That's okay. Have a nice day, Shauna.
Oh, see you, Shauna. Thanks for stopping by.
No, no. I mean, that's just it. Is Texas? Yeah, I've done training down in Texas and during the worst of the summer, and I remember it quite well, and I remember the fire ants and all of it. In fact, some friends, they were driving back from Texas, and they said they were driving along, and they said, "Oh man, we must be getting tired because the road was waving back and forth." And they said, "We got to pull over and wake up." They pulled over and they heard some crunching. They got out of the car long enough to jump back in because they realized the road was actually waving. It wasn't that they were tired because it was tarantulas on the road.
Oh, great. I don't have tarantula issues or scorpion issues this far north. I'm in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, so it's not bad. We actually have seasons here. It's not just hot and cold.
Well, this was coming out of San Antonio on the way up to Colorado.
San Antonio's nice. I like San Antonio. Austin is nice. I like Mount Vernon, which is East Texas.
Okay.
Is really, really nice. There's like pine trees. It's almost to Arkansas. Really pretty.
I see we finally getting some chat going on here. Hello, Casey. Keep them going, Casey.
Hell yeah.
Keep them talking.
So speaking heat. We were talking about heat. Cremation. And I didn't realize that this was an issue. But then after I read the story, I'm like, holy crap, how long have we been cremating people? Radioactivity was detected on the oven, the vacuum cleaner, and the bone crusher of an Arizona crematory where a deceased man who had received radiation therapy was incinerated. Worse still, a radioactive compound unrelated to the dead man was detected in the urine of an employee there. It is plausible that the crematory operator was exposed while cremating other human remains. Radioactive compounds are used in some medical procedures to diagnose and treat diseases. PET scans, for example, use a radioactive dye that helps doctors see tissues and organs, and some cancer treatments use radioactive compounds to target tumor cells. This particular case is of a 69-year-old man with a pancreatic tumor who was treated with nuclear medicine at an Arizona hospital. He died days later, and he was cremated 5 days after that. The current U.S. cremation rate topping 50% now. More studies are needed to understand the extent of radiation contamination at crematoriums and possible health hazards associated for workers. It had not even crossed my mind about people who are going under cancer treatments or whatever that require nuclear medicine that opt to get cremated. Shit, how long has this been going on?
Well, and that's just it. Is if you think about it, radioactivity, things like MRIs, CAT scans, nuclear medicine, all that is actually, when you look at the scheme of things, is actually a very young science. If you think about just that, then you have to put two and two together. Mm-hmm. As far as, okay, people think, oh, well, we went ahead and we went ahead and put them to what was I saying? Oh, we went ahead and we cremated this person. So you think, well, that just, no big deal. But like they said, he had treatment 5 days before they went ahead, they cremated him. Well, I know because I've gone through nuclear medicine. They tell you that medicine actually can be in your system for as long as a month.
So I know if they when they plant seeds or whatever, that I mean, it is radioactive. I mean, you may be detected. You might set things off.
Yes. In nuclear medicine, where they actually shoot it into you, either through shot or IV, it leaches into your organs and can stay in your organs for sometimes as long as a month or so.
But how long is this has been going on for a very, very long time, and it's a danger, in my opinion.
Yes.
To anybody operating a crematory or a crematorium that's just blasting bodies. I'm sorry to put this crudely, but
no, it's true. And the thing is, it's just not something anybody thought about, because there's so many things that happen in medical. People don't sit there and say, okay, well, when this guy's dead, we're done. And most people don't think about the fact that this guy is radioactive, and it's kind of like what happens when a nuclear bomb goes off. The real problem isn't the blast. The real problem is the fallout. Mm-hmm. And that's what it kind of falls under the category of, but nobody was thinking of it. And so it kind of run along those lines of nobody was just – it just kind of dawned on someone to go,
oh, shit.
Yeah. And it probably was by accident, quite honestly.
No one did a risk assessment.
Well, no, because if you think about it, crematoriums actually they have standards to keep, because they are handling biological contamination as far as dead skin and stuff like that. Even though it's burned, it's still considered hazard. So they look at it that way, but nobody ever put together, maybe we need to look at the fact that what happened before these guys, how'd they die, and maybe they are carrying something that we need to be worried about.
Or maybe it's something that you don't typically have to be worried about, but in certain cases, like in the case of this guy that got that had some nuclear treatments done and died a couple days later, chose to be cremated. It was so fresh in him.
Yeah. And but that's just it. They weren't looking, and nobody thinks about that.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people out there now. I mean, nuclear medicine, MRIs, CAT scans, chemotherapy. It's almost it's almost normal now, when it didn't used to be. And so the more it becomes normal, the more people just don't think about it.
I'll bet you they think about it now.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Or there'll be some second thoughts of, hey, they want to build a crematorium, in Weatherford here.
Well, that's not that won't be a problem. It's the getting contamination into the air on those smokestacks. You're not going to get the contamination. It's the people handling the bodies and the ashes afterwards that have the problem. Because that stuff, nuclear waste, can actually make it through those fires.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at it can't be destroyed with.
No, it can't. So, well, we are at the top of the hour.
Yes, and we have the answer to the trivia question. 1943, in order to save necessary metals for World War II production, pennies were made out of zinc-coated. The correct answer is steel.
And those are actually sought after these days.
I've got a couple of silver dimes. I think it's a dime. It was a really old Eisenhower dime.
Something to keep and have, right?
Yeah, it just sounded funny when they handed me my change, and then I checked it out when I got home. And I collect a lot of garbage. Things that aren't worth anything, but I'm like, hey, this is really, really old. So I hang on to it. Buffalo nickels and
soon we'll be seeing you on that episode of Hoarders.
No, I've gotten a whole lot better than that, because eventually I'm going to move again, and I don't want to move a bunch of crap, so I don't keep a lot of crap.
True.
Anyway, we're going to take a break here. It's going to be a couple minutes long. We're going to play some Tech 9 featuring Jay Reddy, and we're going to play another round. The song is going to be called Replace Me from their latest EP. So we'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Hold tight. We got a good rest of the show coming. We're going to talk about lottery whoopses, traffic tickets, and a lady who wanted to buy cocaine but ended up with brown sugar, and she called the police because she felt slighted. And more. There's going to be more. All right, you guys, hang tight, everybody.
Shots.
This is Eric Stolhansky, and you're listening to WTF Nation Radio.
WTF Nation Radio.
Necessary for me to drink my own urine? No, but I do it anyway because it's sterile and I like the taste.
To believe you never threw the shit to me.
This is WTF Nation Radio.
So there I was, talking to Al during the break, keeping really close tabs, because I'm giving Al like a updates every 15 seconds or 20 seconds. All right, man, we got 1 minute. All right, dude, we got 45 seconds. And then the next time I looked at the countdown timer, dude, we're on. So here we are, back for part 2 of Kicking It with Kaz here on WTF Nation Radio. Thank you all for joining us.
It's good to see everybody.
Yeah. We're here every Sunday at 2000 hours Eastern Time.
Like, share, and follow us. We're always around, and we're always looking to help you find your smile for the day.
Yeah, and if you miss a show, you can always go to WTFNR.com. That's WTFNR.com, and you can download a podcast. We've got like a lot of podcasts. Every one of our shows have been podcasted. They've been podcastified, and you can download them for free.
They go way back.
They do go way back when Redleg used to do shows.
Redleg, the myth.
He still exists. I get emails from him every once in a while.
Are you sure it's him and not someone just pretending to be him?
It might be. I really don't. But he talks like Redleg, so.
All right.
Or his vernacular is Redleg-ish, Redleg-esque. Anybody, welcome back, everybody. This is Kaz. This is Kicking It with Kaz. You can hear us here every Sunday. We have shows 5 nights a week. Monday's the Monday edition, which is tomorrow. Tuesday's Tied Up Tuesday because Minx is back. Sorry you lost your show. I know you were kind of falling into a groove there on your Tuesday show.
I enjoyed it, but again, Minx, I was just on loan. She had full intent to come back, and she did. She sure did.
See, Wednesday's no show. Thursdays we're doing Sergeant's Time with Ice. Saturday when Jay Reddy comes back, we got Jay Reddy, Pookie, and Mulder going to the Tinfoil Times, and then of course Sundays we're back here. Today's the 3rd day of March, so February's over. March is here. It's going to be good. Spring's right around the corner. That means allergies for some. That means it's going to be good. I like the cooler weather. I don't really like the super hot weather. I like the highs of the 70s, maybe the 80s are fine.
Yeah, I agree with you. My saying is you can always dress up and put on more layers, but you can only strip down so far.
Exactly, until it becomes illegal.
Exactly.
And frowned upon.
Until you become a Florida man story.
One of these days I'm going to fix the air conditioner in my car, so it's not. I'm just not going to care. I work in a climate-controlled environment most of the time. If I'm not out on the flight line, I'm in a lab, and that lab stays at 70 degrees year-round usually. It's almost cold. I've got 2 hoodies in there.
Yeah, I mean, especially when it's like 80 or 90 outside or 100, going down to 70 can actually be kind of chilling. It is.
And even, when it's cold outside, you get into this cold lab and you're just like, man, it's just a little bit too. There's that fine line, that 1 degree, 2 degrees where it's too, the temperature's in such a way where you don't need a jacket, but then you're kind of uncomfortable. So you put a jacket on.
Exactly.
Not a jacket, a sweatshirt or something like that.
See, my wife works in a place where there's a lot of computers, so they have to keep it a little cooler.
Exactly.
And so in the summer, she actually has to wear or take sweaters with her and have a heated throw to put over her lap.
Oh, my gosh, she's cold-blooded. Oh, my gosh.
She's a typical woman.
My daughter does that, and I think she gets that from her mom. She has a heating pad wherever she goes.
Uh-huh.
It could be 100 degrees outside, and she's got a heating pad.
And she is going into the service.
She is.
Boy, does she have some rude awakenings.
Nah. She lives without it, but she understands what's going to happen.
Uh-huh. Well, hey, I have a story.
Outstanding. Lay it on me.
A printing error at a Louisiana store turned out to be a lucky happenstance for a lottery player who, when his jackpot was doubled. Willie Curry said he used his sister's birthday for pick 4 numbers because she is currently fighting an illness. He said he was waiting for his tickets when the clerk mistakenly printed him 10 tickets bearing his numbers instead of the 5 he had requested. He decided to keep them, and it's a good thing he did. Each ticket ended up winning Curry a $2,600 prize for a total of $26,000.
That's awesome, man. I mean, it's not one of those winnings where you're gonna quit your job and poop on your boss's desk and whatnot. It's just a good amount of money to win where you're not going to go out of control. It's not like winning the $1.5 billion lottery that someone did in South Carolina last year.
Yeah.
I've got some updated news on that.
I want to hear this one.
So there's still no winner. That person that won $1.5 billion with a B, Dara, no winner has come forward to claim the largest Powerball lottery in history.
Wow.
1.5 billion, man. They have until the 19th day of April, 2019 at 5 p.m. South Carolina time to claim their prize. If the ticket goes unclaimed, the $1.5 billion prize will be redistributed to the 44 states that participate, along with the U.S. Virgin Islands and the District of Columbia. The one big loser from this lottery is the state of South Carolina, which included the $61 million in income tax that it was going to collect from the winner.
Jeez.
They counted their eggs before they were hatched.
Oh, that's horrible.
They've since revised their budget, but their original budget, which was approved, had included a $61 million tax collection from whoever the winner is. There's a lot of hearsay and speculation going on. They're like, man, this person is actually going to wait until after tax day, April 15th.
Huh.
And other speculations are like, this person was probably just shocked that they won and they ended up dying.
You never know.
Oh my gosh. I mean, dude, $1.5 billion, you're probably looking at, after state and federal taxes, $920 million for a cash payout.
Could you imagine having that much just sitting there going, well, what do I do now?
Oh my gosh. I mean, granted, if you're a responsible person, you probably have nothing to worry about other than long-lost relatives and friends coming out of the woodwork going, hey, buddy.
And that happens a lot.
Looking for...
Do you ever watch that? Do you ever watch that show, How the Lottery Changed Me?
I've read some of those stories. I haven't watched any of the shows.
How the Lottery Changed My Life. The one thing that everybody says is you usually end up moving, and you usually end up with a lot of enemies. And people will sit there, and they don't just sit there and say, would you please? They'll actually come up and demand money, saying, well, I'm owed this. And actually think that they're entitled to your money, even though you have no idea who the hell they are.
Right.
And, I mean, some of these people sat there and said, yeah, they actually had to pay to drop off the face of the earth.
They have several states now where you can collect it anonymously. I mean, but, okay, great. You're going to collect let's just say your cash payout is $950 million. You're going to have several bank accounts totaling $950 million. How do you stay anonymous? And
that's the real question is how depending on how much states and federal are allow certain things to not be put out publicly, and then yeah, you're right. Then it's okay. You're coming in and you're depositing these money. At some point, someone's going to sit there and go, "Wow, how the hell did you come into all that?" And I don't know that. And then also that much money, how can you not sit there and go, I feel like buying a Jag today?
I don't know what the rules are now as far as FDIC insurance. I think just an individual account is only good for $250,000.
100,000.
100,000.
100,000. Each account is insured up to 100,000. Most people, what they have to do is they go to the bank. They say, okay, I have this much money. They distribute the money amongst so many accounts, and it's either that or they put them into things like CDs, stuff where they're not dangerous. They're low yield, but at the same time, you don't have to worry that your money's going to go bye-bye. And that's the way they keep the money moving without having to worry about all those bank accounts.
That's a whole lot of money. I mean, you have to put money in trusts for family members and whatnot, or kids, or it all depends on what your situation is. I've read stories about folks that had, older couples that had won millions of dollars in the lottery. So the first thing that they do is they just set up trusts for each family member in their lineage.
Yeah.
And that usually takes care of a lot of it.
Well, yeah. And I mean, the older you are, the more you realize, what do I really need?
Right.
I mean, everybody sits there and says, what would I do with it? It's like, at this point in my life, what would I do with it? I can't say I've changed my life that much.
I think Al would get a new truck. You might even keep the old truck and just maybe get a new RV to drag around, or maybe some water vehicles.
That's probably what I would do, actually, is I would just get a motorhome.
Oh, so you don't have to drag it around. You just drive it around.
Well, yeah. I mean, far be it for me to admit this, but I love my RV and I love RVing. But at some point, setting up my RV is going to be hard. Whereas if you have a motorhome, you can pull into a space and push one button, and it sets it up for you.
I usually drive somewhere and I get a hotel room close by.
Well, hotels are okay. I don't mind them. My problem with hotels is, unless you get one that has a hot plate or something that you can cook on, I'm not one for a lot of takeout food. And going to restaurants, eventually that can actually hurt your stomach.
Yeah, and it gets old.
Exactly.
It does get old. I mean, even today, right before I went to the ballet, I took my daughter to, it's called Oni Ramen, and it's just it's a hipsterish ramen restaurant. They have really good ramen there. But even that it gets old. Yeah,
and that's the thing is, like my wife and we're going to be going to a campground on the coast this year, and it's an island. It's run by the military, and it's really beautiful. And people sit there and say, but they've got great quarters there, and they've got all this stuff. And I said, yeah, and you pay, one, for those quarters, and then two, you still have to pay for your food. And then you've got to still bring clothes and everything else. Well, by the time you get there and you pay for everything, what I'm going to pay $360 for, you're going to pay probably somewhere around $800, and my gas is going to cost me less than $100 over and back. So it makes more sense for me to do that, and then it's my space. And my RV is actually bigger than hotel rooms.
I was actually thinking about renting an RV, because you can do that. You can, as long as you do you need a special license for an RV?
No.
You don't need a commercial license?
That's the funny part about this. I used to transport RVs. I have friends in the RV dealerships, and they will talk about guys who walk in there having no experience having ever drive anything like a motorhome, and they'll go and they'll buy $500,000 RVs, these gigantic 40-footers, and they'll just sit there and go, I'm buying that one and driving off today, and they'll wreck them. One guy, guys told me about, he wrecked the RV 5 times before he got out of the lot.
They just seem hard to maneuver, especially if you're just used to driving a standard vehicle.
They are very much like a semi.
How did we get on this topic?
The lottery.
Oh, okay. Yeah, buying stuff.
and buying stuff. But yeah, no, people don't realize there are some good RV drivers out there, but the ones that are driving the motorhomes, not every one of those guys driving the motorhomes has experience. You do not have to have a special license.
Josh, Crownover said that there's a lot of good people and a lot of good organizations would receive a lot of help if I won that much money.
Well, and that's just it. If you win that much money, after you put away the money to live on and for kids to live on, what do you have? You have a lot of money left over.
You would be a very large target for venture capitalists.
Exactly.
Or you could be a venture capitalist.
You'd be the target for a lot of things.
Right.
And it's a matter of then deciding how busy you want to be. Because that's the thing is, you get busy real quick if you start to want to make your money work or invest in some people, because you just don't want to throw the money away. You want people to actually do something with it.
Well, maybe you could drive really, really fast on a California highway and get pulled over twice in 11 minutes.
Like a driver on Interstate Highway 580 in East Bay managed to rack up $1,000 in traffic fines with 2 speeding tickets in 11 minutes?
Yeah, that one.
Oh, the California Highway Patrol first stopped the driver of a 2014 Nissan Altima at 12:30 p.m. for traveling 90 miles per hour on westbound Highway 580. The same car was pulled over by a different officer 11 minutes later near Greensville Road in Livermore for going 103 miles per hour. The tickets will probably cost the driver $400 to $500 a piece. That is a very expensive 11 minutes.
Dude, I'm telling you. Either he was he running late? I mean, everyone's got their story.
Yeah.
Maybe he just liked driving fast. It was around lunchtime. Maybe he was, just trying to get a gluten-free something or other. This is California, so everything you're eating is, I think gluten's outlawed in California.
Yeah, you have to wonder. Well, and people don't realize, a lot of people don't like driving in California unless you live there. They love handing out tickets, and they've got you don't want to get caught speeding down there. Everything's expensive. Even if you are 3 miles an hour over the speed limit.
I had a business trip that took me to San Bernardino.
Yeah.
I had never flown there on business before to get around. I've been to California before, but it's all, I'd fly into LA, I'd stay in LA, and I'd leave. I said, okay, San Bernardino's near Los Angeles. I'm going to fly into LAX. I didn't know that I could fly into San Bernardino. Anyway, that's not a part of the story. So what I did is I rented a car at LAX and I drove to San Bernardino. It's an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours.
Yeah.
So It's a 4 or 5 lane highway or freeway.
Yeah.
And all the lanes were kind of backed up. All the right lanes were stopped. There's just a lot of traffic.
Oh, yes.
Except for the left lane. I'm like, hell, I'm going to be on this road for a while. So I got in the left lane, and I'm cruising at the speed limit. And San Bernardino comes up. I'm like, oh, here comes my exit. I'm going to exit now. So I got over, took my exit. And right before I took my exit, there was a sign that said the left lane is for high occupancy vehicles only. Violators are subject to a $500 fine.
Yep.
I was like, oh, that's why there was no one driving in the left lane. I didn't end up getting a ticket, but I was flirting with disaster there. That would have sucked.
Yeah. It's all tickets down there are expensive no matter what you do. So yeah, you would. The minute you said that, I'm like, oh, I know this one.
I mean, we have HOV lanes here, but I don't know. I'm from here, so I know where they are and whatever.
Well, you have a pull up.
I do.
Yes, you do.
Oh, which one is it? The front of which American coin has remained virtually unchanged since 1909? The penny, the nickel, the dime, or the quarter? When I first came across this question, I'm like, well, what about the Kennedy half dollar? It's never changed. But it said 1909, so.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. I'm not sure about that one. Excuse me.
I don't know.
Josh says Kaz probably knows who Paz in the City is. Mark would never have an issue again, just for starters.
Pause in the City, they're in Dallas.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a no-kill animal shelter here. They're awesome.
Yeah, there are a lot of things out there, and there are a lot of things worth time and worth money. You know me and my page. You know I'd be talking to cat shelters.
Great.
In fact, I'd probably become one.
You would turn into a crazy cat lady.
Yes, I would. Proudly.
I would fund research to cure cat allergies, and then I might have a cat. That's probably as close as I'd get.
I'd find you a hypoallergenic cat, which there are some.
There are, and I've looked into even my daughter's. Like, we can get a Sphinx cat. They're like naked, or they have very, very little hair.
Very little,
and they don't have the the multiple coats. It's like dogs, dogs that have multiple coats of hair. There are some hypoallergenic dogs, like the Yorkie. Her Yorkie is yes. That way. Only has one layer of fur. There are cats out there that have one layer.
There's also one. They say, and I don't remember the reasoning, but they said Manxes, even though they're very bushy, for some reason are hypoallergenic.
Yeah, and they're hypo expensive too.
Yes,
hyper expensive. I even looked at. Matter of fact, I did go to Paws in the City, and I looked at any rescue Sphinx cats. Nah, those things are thousands of dollars.
Yes, they are expensive,
and you're not going to find many rescues.
And not on top of that, to take care of them is not exactly cheap either.
Yeah, they're like bulldogs. Bulldogs are fine, but they have skin issues. Yes,
and you end up usually having to have sweaters and stuff for them, and they have to be bathed on a regular basis.
You know what's funny is if I got a sweater for a Sphinx cat, it would be too big for the dog that we have.
How is your dog, by the way?
Oliver's awesome. Oliver's no, I haven't had him in here lately. Is he a high maintenance dog? No, I don't think he's a high maintenance dog. He wants to be involved in everything. And anywhere there's activity, he's either sleeping somewhere, but if you move, he wants to be doing whatever. He wants to be doing something with whatever you're doing.
Yes.
So if I'm up here typing up my page notes for a show at the end of the week, that dog is in my lap. And it'll jump up on the desk and it'll walk around and it wants to be right there in front of you. It wants to be a part of everything, which is fine. I'm really glad he's not a Great Dane. That would be a problem.
Be entertainment, though.
Yeah. He would be he'd be on camera a whole lot more if he was a Great Dane, because you could probably see him as he stands on the ground.
I would sit there and call. Hey, let's call Oliver and see if he'll get up on this, and you can have the camera on, and he can show his little self.
I've got the door's closed. The dog's in the other room. I could go get him. Maybe during your next story, I go see if I can find Oliver.
Okay, well, your story's up first.
I guess I'll tell that one then. Oh, turn the page. Oh, this is a funny story. Drugs are bad, okay? A woman in the United Kingdom thought it was a good idea to report that the cocaine that she thought that she had bought was actually brown sugar. A report of the police contact states that the woman feels like she had been scammed. She says, quote, "Yeah, I paid over $260 and I got brown sugar instead," the woman told police. "Instead of what?" the police asked. "Cocaine," was her response. Bizarrely, police wrote, the caller didn't want to provide a statement to the department about the alleged theft. Despite the illegality of purchasing cocaine, the police department warned that to be wary of drug dealers, as they care about nothing other than lining their own pockets.
See, and you and I have talked about this before, the drug dealers and what they'll do, but the users ain't so smart.
No, and I mean, that doesn't even look like cocaine. Tell you the truth, doesn't even really look like brown sugar either.
You know, you're right. It doesn't.
That kind of looks like in the restaurants you'll find it says sugar in the raw. That's what that looks like.
You're right. That does. Jeez. You got to be smarter than the average drug user.
You got to be smarter than something, or know who you're buying your shit from.
Well, yeah. Let's not go there. I'll go.
Okay, go. You tell your story, and I'll try to hunt down the dog. How about that?
That sounds good.
Outstanding. I'll be back in a minute.
Oh, okay. An animal rights activist who admitted to helping free a bear from a trap has been sentenced to 15 days in jail. Catherine McCartney, 50, of Vernon, New Jersey, is appealing the sentence imposed by Municipal Court Judge James Devine and says she stands by her actions. McCartney said that these animals are innocent, and so I made the moral decision to let the bear go so he could run back to his mother, and it was the right thing to do. McCartney has an established history doing this. She was arrested at bear hunt protests in 2016, 2017, and 2018. She was sentenced to 15 days in jail last fall, but the same judge let her enroll in the Sheriff's Labor Assistance Program, SLAP, interesting, program as an alternative, though she also is appealing that sentence too. Interesting. You know, people don't realize sometimes we do have to keep the population of certain animals down, because if we don't, they do like to wander into populated areas, and sometimes if there's too many of one animal, it knocks down the population of other animals.
That is absolutely true. We had what do we have? We had not bobcats, cougars? No, bobcats. It was bobcat.
Mm-hmm.
We had bobcats in the in the woods right next to our airfield.
Yeah.
So people were complaining. So they came and they captured the bobcats, and then the bobcats went away.
Yes.
Well, that next year there were egrets, tons and tons of egrets. An egret kind of looks like a stork. It's just this huge ass bird. And having egrets on an airfield is not a good thing. So now the city has to deal with keeping the bobcats away and then also curtailing the population of the egrets.
Exactly.
So it
nature has a balance. For everything you play with, there's always a fallout. Somehow, somewhere, there's always a fallout. That's why they always say don't bring animals from other places, because sometimes those animals change the balance of what's going on in that area, especially if you let them loose.
Okay, the dog was sleeping, so he's a bit groggy.
Well, where's the picture?
Well, here. He's feisty. Say hi, Oliver. He's cranky. What's up, buddy? He doesn't speak, he doesn't talk, he doesn't do anything. He just wants to be in my lap. Anyways, this is a 2 pounds of fury right here.
Everybody go, oh.
So in the lap you go. Go back to sleep. That's Oliver, ladies and gentlemen.
He definitely is a tired little buddy.
Yeah, I had to go to my daughter's room to get him, and he was just he was sleeping. And I picked him up, and he's just like,
See, my problem with me is my cats are old enough where I bring them in, they ain't sitting still.
Right. So you did the story on the bear lady.
Yes,
she looks like, I don't know, dude. She looks pissed.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a repeat offender, too.
Yes, quite a few repeats.
Right, for the same thing.
And again, it's not like they do stuff like this on a whimsy. They try to keep a population control, because if you don't, it becomes more and more of a problem for the animals.
True.
Because they don't have enough food.
That's why they have deer season. If you have a higher population of deer, then you're going to have people that are driving cars on the highway running into more deer.
Mm-hmm. Done that.
Or there's not going to be enough food to support that deer population, so they'll be wasting disease. And that's just.
And then that's how you end up with infections and diseases that run around.
That's true. That is absolutely true.
So, and then that's how you end up with a higher population of the more predatory animals. Because if there's more deer for them, then there are the chance of having more predators, because they have more babies, because they think there's more food.
Yeah. If you have bugs in your house, that means you're going to get spiders.
Yep.
See, I don't like spiders as much as the next person doesn't like spiders. Mm-hmm. So I tend to relocate them outside the house. Except I had a very persistent spider when I first moved into this house. I walked out the door. This is the garage is on the back side of the house. When I first moved in, my garage was full of stuff. I was out there, cutting. I put in wood floors, so I'm cutting wood back there. So I had the garage meant for a workspace, so I can cut the wood and the molding and all the other stuff that's involved in that.
Yes.
So I parked in front of the house. But to the left and to the right, once you get off my porch, are bushes, and then I've got the awning, and then there's gutters. Well, there was a spider that for several days in a row, at nighttime, it would build a web. And that web was massive, dude. It was probably 6 feet across and all the way up, like from your chest level all the way up to the gutter, which is 10 feet high.
Wow.
So you had a pretty damn good, and it was a decent sized spider. This thing was probably, the body of it minus the legs was probably the size of a $50.
Ouch.
So, it's not going to kill you or nothing, but it's just creepy, especially when you're going to work at 5 o'clock in the morning and you can't see shit and you walk into that web.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh wow, there's a spider web here. And then the next morning I turned on the light before I walked out to go to work, and that's when I saw this very beautiful spider web with this humongous freaking spider in the middle of it. I'm like, oh, this has got to change, So I grabbed the broom, and then I relocated that spider to like the other side of where the bush, my hedge row is.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it would come back. That's where he wanted to be. I was violating the rights of that spider. And eventually he stopped coming back around. I put him to the side of the house, and that's where he's been hanging out. I haven't seen him in a while, but it's kind of cold.
Okay, ladies, you hear how gentle this guy is. How you ladies have not put in applications to go on a date with him, I don't understand. I myself, if I presented with such a spider, would have killed the sucker. But no, he calmly goes and takes it and actually just tries to relocate it.
We had a discussion, and I said, hey, man, you need to move. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
Jeez. You are a better person than I when it comes to things like that. I would be the first one to kill, but then after being a medic and having to deal with spider bites, I'm not one to play with chance.
Well, granted, if it had been a brown recluse or a black widow, both of which don't really make big webs like that, they don't. They would be dead. Because they're not beneficial insects. That spider right there was a beneficial insect, so he can live.
Well, Josh says, get bit by the big boy. Drive into Comanche Peak and see what happens.
Right? I could be the next Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
I'll be Spider-Cause. Dude, that's such a good idea. Who's that, Josh?
That was Josh.
Awesome idea, Josh. I'm going to find a way to get into Comanche Peak and get bit by a spider. You know one place I would like to go?
Where would you like to go?
I would like to go to California at the Redmond campus, Microsoft's Redmond campus.
Okay.
Because they have an anechoic chamber there.
Oh, jeez.
If you crave peace and quiet, this is your ultimate destination. Deep within Microsoft's Redmond campus is the quietest place on the planet. That has been verified by Guinness. The record-breaking room is used by the tech giant to do everything, from turning its headphones into making your mouse to tuning its headphones and making your mouse clicks sound perfect. The firm has found it too quiet for most people, and no one has been able to spend more than 45 minutes inside.
Wow.
A few outsiders who have entered it have complained of everything from becoming disturbed by the loudness of their own breathing to ringing in their ears and deafening stomach gurgles. Some people come in for a minute and they want out. People can't handle it. It rattles their brains. It's sensory deprivation.
Yes.
Known as an anechoic chamber, it is a small room measuring 21 feet by 21 feet. And is designed to be as perfectly quiet as possible to allow engineers to tune audio devices and sound in perfect conditions. The chamber is within 6 concrete layers, each are 12 inches thick, to help block out sounds from the outside world. The walls, floor, and ceiling are covered in giant wedges of fiberglass foam to eradicate any echoes. The chamber floats on 68 vibration-dampening springs, and it is mounted on its own separate foundation slab to cut itself off from the rest of the building. Inside the chamber, the floor is made from the same steel cables used to stop fighter jets as they land on aircraft carriers, arranged like a net above the foam wedges underneath. If a jet engine was running at 100% outside the building, you would not be able to hear it inside this chamber. How awesome is that?
Holly says she'd sleep like a baby in there.
Exactly, Holly. I sleep with earplugs, and it's some of the most restful sleep that I get, and it's just these simple foam earplugs. And it doesn't kill all the sounds; it just kills all of the ambient sounds, the traffic.
Yeah.
I have one of my computers that stays running all the time. It's silent, but it doesn't deafen. If somebody comes into the house, I know it, and they're going to get shot. If the dog barks or if my daughter's calling me from the other side of the room or the other side of the house, I can still hear that. But it's interesting because while it's the most restful sleep that I get when I have the earplugs in, I have some freaky ass dreams.
Well, and that's the problem. Excuse me. With deprivation chambers, and that they refer to it like that. There are deprivation chambers out there that date back into the 60s, and you would be in water, and it would be take away all sensory deprivation. Okay, or take all away your senses. But this basically does the same thing, and it can actually make you really have an interesting time with yourself, because people don't realize how quick your senses tune, and all of a sudden you hear everything.
I do notice when I do have those earplugs in, it does sound like ringing in my ears, because that's just what you're used to. That's.
And the problem is that ringing actually becomes amplified.
Oh, it does. They're talking about stomach gurgles that are deafening inside that room.
Well, and if you think about it, again, your sensories start actually pushing out and searching for it. It'll actually your senses will actually search for sound.
Because we're from the time that we're born, you're surrounded by sounds and vibrations. It's all sounds and vibration. All of a sudden, you don't have those sounds and vibrations when you're in that room.
If you think about it, you're right. Not only do you not have sound, you don't have vibration. Between the two, even if you're in a quiet room, there's vibration. But if you're talking about vibration and sound being taken away, that would be, like they said, they've only had someone who was only able to be in there, 41, 45 minutes?
Total, yeah.
It's not. It would be a very edgy. It would put a lot of people on edge, because most people, whether they realize it or not, are always putting their senses out. They extend themselves. It's kind of like when you're in battle. How do you know to look a certain way to catch someone before they are able to get a shot off?
Mm-hmm.
It's your senses. You've extended your senses that far out. People have been known to extend their senses as far as a mile away from their body. And not being able to do that, to be in a deadening room like that, could really make someone – it would really put them on edge. So that's really kind of cool. Think how much that room had to cost.
$1.5 million for the room.
Jeez, that's a lot of money.
It is, but it's not as expensive as I thought it would be.
Yeah, I guess you're right, but still, that's a lot of jeez. Also, they could test things.
Yeah. So we're gonna do a story here, and I'm gonna throw a graphic up there. And if you guys have seen the movie, you know exactly what it is. And here's the audio clip that goes along with it.
How you feeling there, Mac?
Okay, is this my story?
Fuck your mother!
It is your story.
Okay. On Friday, an Indiana man shot himself in the junk. Here's a fun fact. he does not have a handgun license and could face criminal prosecution. According to cops, Mark Anthony Jones, 46, suffered an accidental self-inflicted gunshot injury while walking early Thursday morning in Marion, Indiana. During an interview in the emergency room of Marion General Hospital, Jones said that he was carrying a high-point 9mm handgun in his waistband when the weapon began to slip. Jones said that when he reached down to adjust the gun, which was not in a holster, the firearm discharged. The bullet entered just above his penis and exited his scrotum.
Ouch.
Ouch. Kind of like the football player that did the splits and now every guy goes, ooh.
Right.
The choice to prosecute or not lies in the hands of the prosecuting attorney's office. Joan has 2 felony convictions for narcotics dealing. Eek.
I was fine with him having the gun. Okay, he doesn't have a license. The dude accidentally shot himself in the junk. Time served. Don't do it again. But then at the end of that story, it says, okay, he's got some drug convictions and he is a felon.
He shouldn't have had a weapon.
He shouldn't have hit. He's not eligible to even if he tried, he could not get a permit to carry a weapon or to have or to own a weapon.
And this is the reason we don't want bad guys to have weapons, because they aren't the brightest people.
So I'm thinking Mark Anthony Jones is gonna, if he's out of the hospital, he may be prosecuted for unlawfully carrying a firearm.
Jeez. Ow. Just the thought of it.
Oh, I know.
And I love the picture, yeah.
That's from Super Troopers. Have you seen Super Troopers?
The newest one? No, I didn't get to see it.
This is from the first one.
Oh, you're right. I take that back. Yes, I have seen it.
Yeah.
When they rented that.
That's a funny movie. And I did one of our liners right before I went to the break was Eric Stolhansky, who plays Rabbit, and he's been on the show. He's been a guest on the show.
Yes, he has.
So we had him do a liner for us. So that's that. You know what? It's almost our birthday.
Almost our birthday?
Yeah, the station's birthday.
You're right. Very close.
This week.
Huh. Did anybody even bring that up?
I think we talked about it some time ago. I don't know.
We're gonna have to remind them, huh?
Yeah, March of 2015. So we're in March of 2019.
We're getting up there. This station's getting old.
We're 4 years old.
Wow.
Anyway, let's do another story. Millennial home ownership. This is an interesting story because it has some touch with some of the guys that I work with, or they're of the millennial age. So yeah, this kind of makes sense. Millennial home ownership has been off to a slow start. Roughly 1 in 3 under the age of 35 own a home. At the end of 2018, according to the Census Bureau. That's about 8 to 9 percentage points lower than previous generation. Yet many of the younger people lucky enough to own a place still suffer from buyer's remorse. 63% of millennials ages 23 to 38 say that they have regrets about purchasing their current home. Only 35% of baby boomers have the same, which are between the ages of 55 and 73. While half of Gen Xers, ages 39 to 54, have the same remorse. They say most of the issues are underestimating the hidden cost associated with buying and owning a home. I mean, really, it's more than getting a loan and buying the damn house. In this story, it talks about millennials like, well, I didn't know that there was a down payment. Really?
Yeah. Well, and that comes to the reality of not being prepared and not looking into.
And another thing is it's not taught in schools anymore. I remember when I went to school, we were taught how to balance a checkbook.
Yes.
We were taught, I think it wasn't like a several weeks block of instruction, but we were taught to, the balancing the checkbook was one of them. Because we took a tour of a bank. We went to the vault. Everyone got to hold $10,000 in dollar bills.
Yeah.
And, that was really cool. So the bank gave us these little fake checks and then a check register. And then we would go back to our class, and then we would have a budget, and they would teach us how to budget. It was only like a week-long block of instruction, but it was very useful.
Yes.
Filing taxes. We went over that. We talked about loan amortization, compound interest, simple interest, those type of things. Those things, unless you take a business class, they're not taught in schools anymore.
I know.
And a lot of the millennials, I work with tons of them. They would rather rent or lease a condo rather than take care of a house, because some of those hidden, they say hidden costs. It's not a hidden cost that you got to take care of your stuff. If you have a fence, you're going to have to mend it every once in a while. You're going to have to, clean out your gutters every year. You're going to have to change your roof has to get rebuilt after about 20, 25 years.
Exactly. There's just a lot of things that they don't understand because they don't teach it anymore. Yeah,
you're going to buy a house. They're going to, a bank's going to give you $300,000. You're going to need to put a down payment on that. Unless you have a special circumstance like you happen to be a military veteran, there's no down payment. Even if you're a veteran, I just bought this house. There were still fees, several $1,000s in fees that I had to pay before they would even look at me.
Yeah, and that's there's always something, and that's what they don't teach that anymore. You're right. There's just a lot of unpreparedness, and that's part of the whole. Well, I want to be given rather than have to learn to deal with the truth of it.
And depending, well, it doesn't even depend on how big your home is or how expensive it is. They say about 1% of your home's value a year for maintenance.
Yeah, and that makes sense.
It does make sense. It actually seems a little bit low.
Yeah, it does. These days, yes. Lots of expenses.
So millennials, they say that they have seen their rent go up year after year. I feel you, brother. I know. That's why I bought a house. They see their rent go up year after year, and many think that buying a home is more affordable. But the fact of the matter is housing in many areas has become unaffordable.
Yes.
If you look at California, for one. Las Vegas has another very high real estate values.
Yes.
Hawaii, of course. New York, the upstate area. Actually, anywhere in New York, it's just totally expensive. It doesn't mean that it's or even areas of Virginia. What is that? Philadelphia. Around government centers. Around Washington D.C. Real estate's horribly expensive. Because you're surrounded by fairly highly compensated individuals.
Yes.
So it's that's the marketplace.
And they don't like it. And the unfortunate part is that's part of reality. That's the truth.
If you live around a university.
Oh Lord. Yes.
Some of the houses that I like that were older, but they were well taken care of around TCU here. Mm-hmm. Dude, those houses are as big as mine, but they're in the $400,000-$500,000 price range.
And that's ridiculous.
And it's just it's a location thing.
Well, exactly. Well, hey, did you realize we're actually past the top of the hour?
No, I did not. I'm having fun.
I know.
Well, son bitch. Because you were going to talk about a $18 million home in Las Vegas.
I know. That's underground.
It's underground. It's a bunker.
It's a very nice bunker.
It's for sale. I'm going to show the picture because I don't care. This is my show. This is our show. Look at that. You got $18 million. You can buy this big old bomb shelter. It's actually pretty damn impressive.
Yeah, it is.
And it's joke time. See how we're fast forwarding now?
There we go.
I like this joke. I didn't print it. I sent you a copy that didn't have a copy of this joke in it because I want your honest reaction.
Okay. Okay.
What's the difference between a hooker and a drug dealer?
I don't know.
A hooker can wash her crack and sell it again. Huh?
That's good.
I'm going to be here all week, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget to tip your waiters and waitresses.
Oh, not quite a family-friendly joke, but a good joke.
Oh, come on, man.
Hey, I'm going to give you crap.
Okay. Hey, we got a guest tomorrow, too.
Yes, we do.
We have Mark Baker's going to be here from Charlie Mike Comics. Mark Baker is a retired sergeant major. Or, I'm sorry, a master sergeant. He's a master sergeant. His Private Murphy cartoons ran in the Army Times for 8 years, starting in the year 2000. After a 10-year hiatus, Mark is going back to doing Murphy cartoons, which he posts on Facebook right now. And now his new endeavor is called Charlie Mike Comics. The new endeavor is a departure from his Private Murphy gag-type cartoons. These are real people with real stories. They're just depicted in a cartoony way. So that's pretty awesome. That seems to be like a duffel blog isn't real, but there are enough facts in a duffel blog story to make you go, huh.
Yeah. Well, this should be cool.
And there's enough. If he pays any attention at all to U.S. Army WTF moments, he's got a never-ending supply of material.
So true.
Never ending. The latest, I think, is Humvees catching on fire. I saw an upside down ambulance.
Oh, jeez.
Humvee.
Uh-huh.
So, never ending stream of information. And let's talk about War Horses for Veterans.
Okay.
War Horses for Veterans is a 3-day equine therapy program located in Stillwell, Kansas, which is, you might as well say Kansas City because that's where you land. And then Stillwell is just 15, 20-minute truck ride.
Mm-hmm.
The program is free to all combat veterans. This includes airfare, lodging, and meals. Go to facebook.com/War Horses for Veterans to find out more information. It's a great place. Love this place. I would, if the marketplace would support a job like I do, I would probably move there. They're under some snow right now, and it's awfully cold. But
yes.
but boy, is it nice in the springtime there. We went. It was actually in the summertime when we went. A bunch of us, Red Leg, me, Pie, Minx was there, Mom was there, Bobby was there. We had a blast, man. It was really great. We actually did a broadcast from War Horses for Veterans, and you can go to WTFNR.com. You can download that podcast.
That's a great little plug.
Right. And we're all over social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're on Twitter today, right?
Yes, we are.
Outstanding. Hello, Twitterverse. This is a little late in the show, but what's going on, folks? Glad you could join us. So now I come to the part of the show where I like to do a closing thoughts type thing. Just a thought to take you into the next week. You got anything, Mr. Owl?
Yes, I do. Life throws us many complications. When it is new, it always seems to be more than we can handle, or so we think. But life is showing us what we can handle. So when it isn't so complicated, one, we can enjoy the quiet, but also two, when it is complicated, we know we can rise to the task.
There you go. And if you really want the quiet, you can go to the Redmond campus in California and spend some time in the anechoic chamber.
And do you have a thought?
I just wanted to say that the front of the penny has not changed very much in the last, long time, 110 years.
Yeah.
I did not know this. I'm like, it's got to be the dime. No, that's the dime is too new for that. Then the nickel, I'm like, I don't know, quarters. And then I'm like, oh, Lincoln, the Lincoln penny.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, yes, I do have a bit of a thought. It's a little weird, but a frog decided one day that he was going to climb a tree and reach the very top. All the other frogs shouted at him saying, it's impossible, but the frog continued to climb the tree and he finally reached the top. How? Because he was deaf. And he thought that everybody on the ground was encouraging him to reach his goal. So the advice is to be deaf to negative thoughts if your aim is to reach your goals.
So true.
Kind of makes sense.
Good thought.
Anyway, everybody, on behalf of Owl and WTF Nation Radio, I'd like to thank you all for spending your evening with us. The show is over, but we are here 5 nights a week. As I said earlier, Monday is the Monday edition. Tomorrow night, we're going to be able to talk to Mark Baker. Tuesday is Tied Up Tuesdays with Minx. Thursdays is Sergeant's Time. Saturdays is Tinfoil Times. That's on hold right now. When Jay Reddy comes back, he's going to kick that off again, and that shows with Jay Reddy, Pookie, and Mulder. And I forgot to mention that Minx is doing her show with Radar now.
Yes,
they seem to be a really good fit. What do you say? I think Radar. He sounds good on the radio.
Yes,
he does. We have a lot of good back and forth. Anyway, guys, thank you all for being here. We love you. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time. Don't forget tomorrow. Mark Baker.
Here's a shot out of a cannon. Oprah, Barbara Walters.
I think we're done here. Thank you.
Disney.
These nuts.
In radio. WTF Nation Radio.